Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for checking in. It's Friday. Ah, yes, yes, yes. It's the weekend. Woohoo! Everybody, we've made it to the weekend. So thank you for checking in. Let me say hello to everybody. Allura Star and Shocker and Sturgis Guy and Thesis and House of Dave.
Hey, I'm Jillian, and I'm at Laser Away. I'm going to get my
YouTube. Allura Star and Shocker and Sturgis Guy and Thesis and House of Dave and Sam and St. Clinton and Eric and Petey and Tim and Ryan and Photo and Philip Chandler and Mark Mean and Star Raven and Ian G. Tomlinson and Fairies Lover and Lucky Girl and Azure Yusuf and the Cram and Marcel and Jim Dandy and Sturgis Guy and Bill Knaus and Scott Kimmis and Joe Barney and Red Stapler and John McCain and Brett and Blair Cooper and Terry Sue and N1QOV and Joe Barney and Red Stapler and Max and Boot and Swede and Cosmic Joe and Jay Dahlman and Wing Doggy, Sam and St. Clinton. Hello! Hello, it's Funny Friday, where we share jokes to put everybody in a good mood for the weekend, so I hope you have some jokes. It's much cooler here in California today. Though it's supposed to warm up for the weekend, and I am looking forward to that. Woohoo! So hello, and craziest thing in the news. I didn't think it would happen. I thought there would be more common sense. Oh, but no, England. England has voted to leave the European Union. No. No, that's a bad plan. Ooh, that's gonna be a mess. And people are already saying that they regretted their vote and they didn't think their vote would count. And now they voted for Brexit, for England to leave, and now they're going, oh, wait a minute. I didn't know that was gonna really, wait a minute. Marcel says, what do you call a cheap circumcision? A ripoff! Ah, no! The family jewels. So, yeah. And England, you're silly England. You're stronger as a group. Oh, and now already finances, stock markets, all the big international stock markets are going crazy and not in a good way. Yeah, we're stronger when we're united. David Jones says the pound sterling is at a 40-year low. It has never been valued this low for 40 years. Oh, really? Wait, I didn't think my vote was going to count. Hey, blimey. Wait, now my pound is worth half of what it was yesterday because I voted to leave the European... Oh, wait a minute. Now this is affecting me. Oh. Yeah. Though the United Kingdom voted. The United Kingdom is actually made up of several countries. England, Scotland, Ireland, Wales. Scotland is already, because Scotland voted to stay, Well, England voted to leave, so now Scotland is preparing to have its own vote to stay and not be in the UK anymore. Ah! So, yeah, Marcel says, well, Marcel, I'm certainly not going to call myself an expert on European government or political uh, details, though I do know that you're stronger as a group than on your own. And also, Marcel says, makes a good point, the EU is not a real democratic institution because you don't get to vote for the people who make the laws in the EU. Well, maybe, Marcel, what would have been better than leaving the EU union would be, you know, improving or working to improve the EU rather than throwing out the baby with the bathwater, because this is going to have a ripple effect for a whole. Marcel says that's what his party wants, to improve and update and work on fixing the union rather than destroying the union. Yeah, that sounds like the logical thing to me, Marcel. Just completely leaving and throwing everything away is like throwing out the baby with the bathwater. Keep the baby! Just get some clean water. Oh, good. And David Jones, that's good to know. So, yeah, so I can't say that I'm an expert. I don't have any say. I'm not a part of the EU, but it does seem that maybe not everybody completely thought this all the way through. I think some people who voted didn't think that they got into protesting, but didn't think they're thinking in the short term, maybe not thinking so much in the long term of what is this going to actually cause. And I know there's a lot of frustrations and people are angry about things, but maybe they could have worked better to, maybe it would have been easier to fix the system than throwing away the system. But I don't know. Because it does have a ripple effect on the entire world. So, and I certainly don't want any more. We've already got enough kind of chaos and destabilization kind of happening all around the world. So I worry that this might cause more chaos and destabilization. That's what I'm worried about. That the ripple effect it has on the whole world. So, but I hope they're able to work it out. I know there's the big, now they've made this vote, now what do we do? It's a big thing. This is not like a little thing. Everything is connected. This is like separating Siamese twins. You gotta, ooh, it's tricky. Marcel says the EU has not been very responsive to people's needs or changes. Well, that maybe then part of the blame, Marcel, would have to fall on the EU, the European Union, for not being as respective or responsive to what people wanted. Maybe they should have been a little, maybe it's, I guess you got to put some of the blame on the EU, huh? Because they didn't work hard enough. It's not just the people of England, it's the people. Hello, Boonsweed. And Boonsweed is voting for everybody living in their own cave. Yeah, so while part of the blame certainly falls on the EU for not working enough to make, yeah, not working enough to really address people's frustrations. This is a failure to communicate. Oh, Marcel says it was one of those things where they have secret negotiations. Well, that's not a good thing. Nobody likes secret negotiations. I don't like secret negotiations. Why are you keeping it a secret? If you're keeping something a secret, that means you're probably doing something you shouldn't be doing. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a secret. So, yes, so the British Prime Minister will be stepping down shortly. I think he said he's stepping down, but he's waiting a couple months because, yes, Cameron has given up his seat. I think he said he's stepping down like in October or something because his party in England, when you lose the vote, the next party gets control of the seats. So, oh, and look, wait, we might have a joke today. Hang on, there's a long one. Let me get my screen here. Okay, and Linda has a long joke. A teacher was teaching her second grade class about the government. How appropriate. So for homework one day, she told her students to ask their parents what the government is. When little Johnny got home that day, he went up to his dad and asked, "What's a government?" And his dad thought for a while and said, "Look at it this way. I'm the president, your mom is Congress, the maid is the workforce, and you are the people, and your little baby brother is the future." "I still don't get it," responded little Johnny. "Well, why don't you sleep on it then? Maybe you'll understand better in the morning." "Okay, good night," says little Johnny and goes to bed. In the middle of the night, little Johnny was awakened by his baby brother crying. He went to his baby brother's crib and found that his baby brother had taken a crap in his diaper. So little Johnny went to his parents' room to get help. He looks through the keyhole to see if his parents were asleep, though through the keyhole he could see his mom snoring. His dad wasn't there, so he went to the maid's room where he looked through the keyhole and he saw his dad having sex with the maid. Little Johnny was shocked, but then he just realized something. Thinks, "Oh, now I understand government. The president is screwing the workforce. Congress is fast asleep. Nobody cares about the people, and the future is full of shit." Thank you, Linda, for this political comedy for today. Very appropriate. And so, hang on one second. Okay. Oh, well, thank you very much. Let's see, is that... I'm not sure if my screen is moving right now. Marcel has one. "Knock, knock. Who's there?" "Europe." "Europe who?" "No, Europe who?" "No, Europe who?" "Knock, knock. Who's there?" "Europe." "Europe who?" "No, Europe who?" "No. Europe who? Europe who? Europe who?" Thank you, Marcel and Linda. It's Funny Friday, where we share jokes to put everybody in a good mood for the weekend. Hello, and hello to Linda's neighbors. Woohoo! So yeah, so anyhow, we'll see how things work out. I hope everything works out. But so I'm excited for the weekend. Woohoo! I have a fun weekend planned with my sweetie. And yes, and oh yay, I have more car problems. I don't know if anyone's shocked, but my power steering fluid is leaking. There's a puddle. So under the car, a power steering fluid again. So I guess I need a new power steering. It's leaking from underneath the the case. The little power steering fluid's in this little black plastic thing, and it's leaking from the bottom. So I think I need a new, whatever you call it, power steering fluid bucket holder. Whatever you call it. Maybe I blew a seal. No, it's ice cream. Marcel says you need a new car. I do. It's like 20 years old. Wait. Do I have a 95 or a 96? It's either 20 or 21 years old. A grasshopper walks into a bar and says to the bartender, "Hey." And the bartender says, "Hey, we have a drink named after you." And confused, the grasshopper goes, "Really? You have a drink named Steve?" No, he's a grasshopper. And Bobby Booten Swede just said, "The wedding is off. No way am I going to spend the rest of my life watching you wave your arms around and yelling about poo." Well, that is excellent news, Booten Swede. I wouldn't be waving my arms and yelling about poo if you would just shut the bathroom door. Marcel has another joke. A guy sees a three-legged pig at his friend's farm. He asks why the pig has 3 legs. His friend says, "Oh, let me tell you about that pig. He's my hero. Last year, my car caught on fire, and that pig knocked down the door and dragged my unconscious body outside to safety." And the guy asks, "Wow, is that how he lost his leg in the fire?" And his friend says, "Oh, no. When you have a good pig like that, you don't want to eat them all at once." Oh. You ate his leg? It's Funny Friday. Marcel says, "I got an invite to a wedding that said black tie only. So I show up, black tie only, and what to my surprise, I find that everybody else is wearing tuxedos." Ooh. A little underdressed. This was a different kind of party. I've got my black tie on. Oh. Hello, it's Funny Friday. I'm looking forward to my weekend with Sweetie. Woohoo! The most exciting man in the universe, says me. A horse walks into a bar and goes up to the bartender and says, "Give me a beer." The bartender is stunned, so he heads to the back of the bar and speaks to the owner. He said, "Hey, boss, there's a horse in the bar asking for a beer." And the boss owner pauses for a second and says, "Well, give him one, but charge him double." Horses don't know anything about the price of beer. So the bartender heads back out to the front and hands the horse a beer, and he says, "You know, we don't get many horses around here." To which the horse replies, "Oh, at these prices, I'm not surprised." But what about the talking horse? Oh, we got another long one. Thank you, Marcel, for that horse joke. And let me scroll back to. Linda's got another long one. Okay. One day at the end of class, little Johnny's teacher asked the class to go home and think about a story to be concluded with the moral of that story. The following day, the teacher asked the first volunteer to tell their story. Little Susie raises her hand and says, "My dad owns a farm, and every Sunday we load up the chicken eggs on a truck and we drive to town and sell them in the market. Well, one Sunday we hit a big bump and all the eggs flew out of the basket and onto the road. When the teacher asked what the moral of the story was, Susie says, 'Don't keep all your eggs in one basket.'" Okay. And little Lucy went next and says, "Well, my dad owns a farm too, and every weekend we take the chicken eggs and put them in an incubator. Last weekend, only 8 of the 12 eggs hatched." Again, the teacher asks, "What's the moral of your story?" And Lucy says, "Don't count your chickens before they're hatched." And the teacher says, "Very good, Lucy." And the next student is Johnny. Little Johnny says, "My uncle fought in the Vietnam War, and his plane was shot down over enemy territory. He jumped out before it crashed, but only took a case of beer, a machine gun, and a machete. On the way down, he drank the case of beer. Then he landed right in the middle of 100 Vietnamese soldiers. He shot about 70 with his machine gun, but then he ran out of bullets. So he ran out of bullets, but he pulled out his machete and killed 20 more. Then the blade fell off of his machete, so he killed the last 10 with his bare hands." The teacher looked a little shocked and said, "What? Oh, wow. What could possibly be the moral of that story, little Johnny?" "Well," little Johnny replied, "the moral is, don't fuck with my Uncle Ted when he's been drinking." Oh. Thank you, little Johnny. Is your Uncle Ted still around? Oh, well, that's good, Boot Sweet. Oh, we have another long one. Hang on one second. Marcel says, "Things you never hear a woman say." Marcel says, "Things you never hear a woman say." Such as, "What do you mean today's our anniversary?" Or, "I'll swallow it all, I love the taste." Or, "Can our relationship be a little more physical? I'm tired of being just friends." Or, "The new girl in my office is a stripper. I invited her over for dinner on Friday." Or, "Go ahead and leave the seat up. It's easier for me to douche that way." Or, "I wouldn't even put my lips on that thing unless I get to swallow." Or, "I'm bored. Let's shave my pussy." Or, "That was a great fart. Do another one." Or, "God, if I don't get to blow you soon, I swear I'm gonna bust." Or, "These are things you never hear a woman say." Or, "I've decided to stop wearing clothes around the house." Or, "Can we not talk to each other? I'd rather just watch TV." Or, "That's way too big. I'll never be able to fit that into my tight, wet." No. Or, "Ooh, that diamond ring is way too big." Or, "I liked that wedding even more than ours." Or, Your ex-girlfriend has class." Or, "And for our honeymoon, we're going fishing in Alaska." Or, Can our relationship get a little more physical? I'm tired of just being friends." Or, "Honey, does this make my outfit make my ass look too small?" Or, "Damn it, don't stop and ask for directions. I'm sure you'll be able to figure it out somehow." Or, there's a lot of them. Or, "Is that phone for me?" Or, "Tell those Tell those fuckers I'm not here. Or, that was fun. When will all your friends come over to watch football again? Or, honey, come here, watch me do a body shot off with my hot friend Stephanie. Or, I'm tired of cuddling. Or, you're so sexy when you're hungover. Oh my god, it just goes on and on and on. Wow. Or, let's subscribe to Hustler. Or, I'd rather watch football and drink beer with you than go shopping. Or, not them all again, let's go to the strip club. Or, I'm wrong and you must be right. Again. Yes, there's a lot of things that you never hear women say. I think my favorite of all those is, I'm wrong and you're right again. That one is my favorite. This will be on YouTube. Marcel says, what was Whitney Houston's favorite type of coordination? Hand eye. Hand eye. Will always. Yes, Whitney Houston was a phenomenal singer. So, woohoo! Funny Friday! Where the jokes are flowing fast and furious. David Jones says, I hear glass breaking, so please stop that noise. Here's proof. Broken glass. It's true. I just broke it! And I just cracked the glass. Woohoo! Okay, this is the last. What was that? It was the counter of my desk. Here, this is, Marcel has another one, and this will probably be the last one. A woman marries a man who has 10 children. The man dies, so the woman remarries and has 10 more children. The next man dies, so the woman remarries again, and that guy has 10 more children. The man dies again, and this woman remarries again, and again has 10 more children. This husband dies, and finally the woman dies as well. Finally, the woman dies as well. At the funeral, the priest mutters, "Good God, they're finally together." A man at the funeral asks the priest, "Which husband do you think he means? The first, the second, or the third?" And the man on the left said, "I think he meant her legs." How could she have so many kids? And what is she doing that's killing her husbands? Why do they all die at 10 children? I think there's a question here that needs to be answered. Marcel has one more joke. A length of rope walks into a bar. The bartender looks at the rope and says, "Get out of here. We don't serve ropes in here." The rope goes outside and cuts himself in half and ties 2 sections together. Not pleased with his appearance, he takes a comb and combs out his ends. He walks back into the bar and the bartender says, "Hey, aren't you that rope I just kicked out?" And the rope replies, "No, I'm afraid not." Bum. I'm afraid not. afraid. Not. I'm afraid. Not. Ah! Wordplay. But how can a rope walk? That's the real question of the joke. A walking, talking rope? And why does the walking, talking rope want a beer? I think that must sounds like some sort of so. Well, thank you for the jokes. It is 5:52. All right, I am just about to sign off. David Jones says, I am overthinking the jokes. I know, I try not to, but you know, us geniuses, we overthink everything. Okay, last one, and then I'm signing off. Marcel says, a guy walks into a bar and sees 3 pieces of meat hanging from the ceiling. That sounds healthy. The guy says, what's that about? And the bartender replies, well, if you can jump up and slap the meat, you get free drinks for the rest of the night. If you miss, you have to pay for everyone else's drink for the next hour. The guy says, so you want to do it? And the guy replies, nah, the stakes too high. Ba-dum-bum-bum. Ah! Give that stake to my talking rope. All right, I am just about to sign off. But I want to thank you guys for coming to see me because you're awesome. Hi, Mr. Toto. Thank you for checking in. Mr. Toto says, what is your mother's name? Well, Mr. Toto, it would have to be Dorothy. All right, I am just about to sign off. Let me say goodbye to everybody. Allura Star and Shocker and Sturgis Guy and Tesis and House of Dave and Sam and St. Clinton and Eric and Petey and Tim and Ryan and Photo and Philip Chandler and Mark Mean and Star Raven and Angie Jonas and Fairies Lover and Lucky Girl and Andrew Yusuf and the Cram and Marcel and Jim Dandy and Bill Knaus and Scott Kimmis and Joe Barney and Red Stapler and John McCain and Brett and Terry Sue and Blair Cooper and Max and N1QOV and Cosmic Joe and Joe Barney and Wing Doggy and Jay Dahlman and Mr. Toto and Boot and Swede. Thank you so much for checking in. Hope you have an awesome, awesome weekend. I will be back on Monday. Kisses for everybody. And Mr. Toto says, sorry. Bye, Mr. Toto. Mr. Toto, you can find out more. Follow me on Twitter. Lorielle New on Twitter. Want to go? All right. Bye. Love you guys. Bye.